Yo, what's up, guys? What's going on, everybody? Make sure this works.
What's going on, everybody?
All right, cool. All right, as you can probably see, I look pretty rough because I just got home from the gym, but it is what it is. So, hope everybody's doing well. Obviously, we're going live with Marc Ryan on ESPN Upstate in a few minutes. Like I said, I know I'm pouring sweat. Let me go grab a hat. I'm like pouring sweat right now. Give me just 1 second, guys. I'm gonna grab a freaking hat. Make it not as bad. There she is. Okay, much better. I don't look quite as rough now with the sweat pouring off me here. Whew. Yeah, it's literally, like I said, just got home from the gym, so I am like feeling it, but didn't have time to shower. So, like I said, going live with Marc Ryan, ESPN Upstate, 4 minutes. So, talking South Carolina Gamecocks 2020 football season. I'm going to talk a little bit about the coronavirus impact as well. I'm sure much more with Marc. So really good stuff. Been a while since got to go live with Marc, and I'm really excited about it. So very, very excited. Should be a lot of fun. SEC football tube, what's up, bro? If y'all have any questions in the meantime, I can answer them real quick, or we can save them for after. I'm sure there will be questions that pop up during the appearance with Marc, just because there's going to be a lot of questions asked from him about South Carolina football and this season and everything. And obviously I'm going to have my opinions and thoughts and stuff like that. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them and we will get them answered at some point. But yeah, really excited again, going live with Marc Ryan, 320. He's going to be calling here any second. So I'm very pumped. So everybody's having a great Thursday. Is it official Lawson's back now? Did somebody report that? I know that, the initial report from Rothstein came out. Oh, wow. Let's see. Apparently Lawson is still in the draft, supposedly. Martin says he's expecting Lawson to report to campus, though. I mean, Lawson's going to come back. I mean, I don't see any way that he doesn't. You know what I mean? So I don't see any way that he doesn't. So I think it'd be it'd be a bad move to not come back. No, I mean, so Rothstein said. So here's the thing: the report was he withdrew his name from the draft. That is inaccurate. That doesn't mean he's not coming back. He's just still taking interviews and stuff like that. Yeah. So, but yeah, like I said, really excited to talk South Carolina football with Marc Ryan. Obviously, I've been talking about it. Obviously, we've been talking about it for weeks and weeks and weeks and going to continue to. But excited to talk with Marc again. It's been a few months. It's been, I think, since spring. Obviously, with no sports, with the pandemic hitting and everything, we haven't had stuff to talk about. So, yeah, it'll be good to hear from Marc. So, but like I said, if you guys have any questions, yeah, it definitely Lawson needs another year. I think for sure he's going to stay again. The only thing that was wrong about the report is that he withdrew his name from the draft completely, which his parents said is inaccurate. So he's still taking interviews or what? He's coming back, guys. He's coming back. There's no way he's not coming back. So, yeah, he's coming back, no doubt. We're gonna beat Coastal 100, dude. I hope we need a huge win. I mean, you just with all of the stuff happening, just with all the pressure, I guess, coming into the season. We know the deal with Muschamp and what he's going up against. We need a huge win. I mean, we need a huge win, a feel-good type win. Kind of like 2017 we played him. We beat him like 49-7 or so. We need another game like that for sure. You need to get a fast start. You need to start quick, get the fan base excited, get everybody pumped up, take advantage of the early part of your schedule because that's the part of your schedule, you're most going to be able to take advantage of. So you need to come out of the gates fast, no question. I want to see the offense clicking. I want to see a lot of Marshawn Lloyd. I'd like to see some other young guys get in there. I mean, those are the type of games you can get your young guys in there. So, hopefully that's what we see. I expect to see that because, like you said, they're not the Coastal of old. Coastal's a proud program, but not very good. So yeah. 1 second. Jabril McNeil, the outside linebacker. I mean, he's a good player. I mean, blue chipper, another guy would be good for us. So we need all the good linebacker help we can get, especially, you lost Brunson. You take a look at the depth chart. Ernest Jones, a junior. Sherrod Green's a senior. Damani Stanley's a senior, or Staley, excuse me. So you need all the linebacker help you can get. So you need all the linebacker help you can get for sure. Should be calling me any second. So should be calling me any second now. Yeah, I mean, you need to start 3-0. You need to take advantage of the early part of your schedule. You can't start worse than 3-1. You cannot. So, yeah, I mean, if you start 4-0, it changes the entire perception of the season. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, 7, maybe 8 becomes a realistic thing. And I've talked about this. I talked about this in the Florida game, the Florida preview. If you start 4-0, it makes the Florida game in Gainesville the biggest game of the Will Muschamp era by far, in my opinion. I mean, first place in the East on the line, it sets up a monumental matchup. I'm not saying I'd be picking South Carolina to win either way, but it sets up a huge matchup. So it's crazy just how much different the perception of the season can go from if you start 4-0 versus if you start 3-1 versus if you start 2-2. You know what I mean? So you got to take advantage of the early part of the schedule because the back end is so brutal. I mean, the back end is so brutal. So, no question. Just waiting on them to call. Where are you at, Mark? So. By the way, really quickly, if you guys haven't checked out today's show, breaking down Clemson, I know it sucks to talk about him, but the interview with CC Whitlock, awesome. Awesome stuff. I really suggest everybody listen to that. Awesome stuff coming from CC Whitlock. So definitely be sure to listen to that. Check it out. I mean, do I think it'll affect Clemson with Justin Ross being out? I mean, sure, it'll affect them somewhat, but I mean, they've got guys waiting in the wings, man. They're not going to be tested. And when you have Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, I mean, they'll be fine. Clemson will be just fine. They're going 11-1 in the regular season at worst. They're going 11-1 at worst. So, yeah, no, the refs definitely got a hand in that loss. But, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I think just in the big games in general, we've talked about it a lot. You need to be competitive. You need to be competitive in the big games. There's no question about it. I mean, that's just a given. It's just a given. You need to be competitive in the big games. So, yep, need to be competitive. There it is right there. Hi, this is Chris.
Hey, Chris, Lonzo, ESPN Upstate.
Hey, Lonzo, what's up, man?
Nothing much. Same as usual.
Yep.
We got about a minute and a half.
Okay.
And then Mark will be right with you. Hang on.
Awesome. Thanks.
Highway 11. Go past the Chevy and Ford dealers, and then you'll see.
Very excited. Like I said, you guys leave your questions in the meantime because we're going to be talking about the season and stuff, and I'm sure you guys are going to have questions about things I say, about stuff that he says. So just leave your questions. We'll answer them after the call.
Tough it out, son. It'll grow back. Or even cutting your dog's hair.
So.
Mama still loves you, boo-boo. And pizza. While takeout and delivery are good, there's nothing like fresh dine-in pizza and a cold beer enjoyed with friends at the Mellow Mushroom Pizza the baker.
Let me know that you guys can hear the phone okay. I'm sure you can, but just want to make sure.
One Augusta Street in Greenville's West End.
Don't give Dad a tie for Father's Day. Give him the Upstate Golf Card. Buy one for $80 or two for $150 and golf with Dad. 10 rounds of golf for only $80 or two for $150. Give Dad the gift of golf at upstategolfcard.com. That's upstategolfcard.com.
Ready on that painting project? Ask Sherwin-Williams and get 30% off paints and stains with sale prices starting at $26.94 June 19th through 30th. With 30% off our exceptional paints and stains, you can give some color love to your bathroom, living room, or every room in your home. Shop in store or order online for curbside pickup. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
It could be a routine drive to pick up
Lord, all the commercials.
or an epic road trip.
All these commercials.
No matter where your travels take you, we know those miles count. We're Marathon. We have over 5,700 stations across our great nation. Our people are working hard every day to provide you with quality top-tier gasoline to improve engine performance and fuel your life. Marathon, fueling the American spirit.
This guy talks a good game and never drops the ball. You're Offsides with Marc Ryan on ESPN Upstate.
Offside, Marc Ryan and Lonzo right here on ESPN Upstate. A texter says, "This is very nice. Thank you so much, man." He says, "Mark, this is why I love your show. I'm glad you came to the Upstate. I love chaos." Hey, listen. Some people try to avoid trouble. Others, trouble finds them. You know, like I'm just one of those people. Trouble finds me. I don't know what it is exactly. I said the same thing last night that I've been saying for a month. All of a sudden, it blows up. Also, I hate baseball, Marc Ryan. They are the most well-treated players of all the major leagues, and nobody even likes their sport, and they still demand more money. Like, exactly. Hello. You have a dying sport and a bunch of yahoos as players, whiny, petty players that are demanding more money during a pandemic. Give me a break. Then a texter says, "I'm now vigorously scanning through people following Marc Ryan to identify sports figureheads that like baseball." So he's trying to figure out right away who it is that gave me a call last night. Wasn't necessarily a baseball guy. I would just tell you this: at the very, very top of sports media, everybody knows who this person is. And I can't tell you who it is.
If people were to just throw names out there,
you can't do it.
Is it possible that you could slip? Maybe your inflection might change, something like that. You know?
I'm having. If you think of like the 10 most famous sports media people, it's one of those 10, guaranteed. And we had a great conversation.
Is it someone that I like? That's a question.
I'm not answering that.
Okay.
I'm not answering that.
That narrows it down.
I'm not answering that. I'm already getting texts from people listening right now, Lonzo, just asking me who this was that gave me a call to offer support in my baseball war last night on social media. All right. We have another text coming in that's asking for a question of our next guest. But we are pleased right now to be continuing our SEC and ACC preview series. Today, it's the South Carolina Gamecocks. And joining us, a self-made man, the owner and founder of the Spurs Up podcast. We've got a lot in common because we are both, to some degree, shunned by the normal media. We're like Donald Trump in that respect. The national media, the normal media, we don't follow their protocols. We don't care to follow their protocols. We just do our own thing, and we kick ass doing it. And Chris Phillips of the Spurs Up Show joins us right now. Chris, good on you, man. How are things going?
It's going great, Mark. It's good to talk to you once again. Been too long. I'm not going to lie. When you're talking about people that were proponents of chaos and trouble finds them, I really thought you were segueing into bringing me on to the show. So I appreciate that. I feel like we can certainly relate there in some aspects for sure.
And I want to let you guys know that Chris and I had a conversation yesterday, not about anything sports related. And I asked him if it was okay if we talked about this on the show today, and he said yes. Chris, both of your parents are recovering from coronavirus.
Yep.
From COVID-19. How I so appreciate you allowing us to bring that into the conversation today because it is a very private event. What was that like? What did your parents go through, and how are they doing today?
Yeah, so they're doing a lot better today. I want to say, first off, they basically made 100% recovery. I think the last day of their 2-week quarantine is tomorrow, but it's been daily follow-ups, obviously, my mom and dad. And, this past Saturday was actually the first day in like a week and a half that my dad didn't have a fever. And then Sunday for my mom, her fever stopped. And then obviously today we're on Thursday. So they're feeling much, much better. I talked to my mom yesterday. She's like, I'm at 98%. Was maybe a little tired, but the fever's completely gone away. They haven't had a fever for 4 or 5 days. So I would say they're pretty much 100% recovered. But yeah, I mean, it just kind of came about. It's funny. I was telling people selfishly, we were supposed to go on a beach trip, and it's funny. My parents joked about it too when they were sick. They were mad that we didn't get to go to the beach. But basically, long story short, somebody showed up to my dad's work, and I guess they either had symptoms or they had it and didn't know, or whatever happened. He ended up getting it. They were all wearing masks, but he ended up getting it. Obviously, my mom being in close quarters and my dad, they both got it. So really the symptoms just consisted of fevers, just kind of standard fevers. I mean, nothing like crazy. I'd say like around 100, 101. But, thankfully the big thing, there were no breathing problems. They didn't need to be hospitalized. It was just popping a lot of Tylenol and popping a lot of medicine, trying to get rid of the fever. But yeah, fevers, felt sluggish, lethargic, stuff like that, just under the weather. You could say, but yeah, no, I mean, thankfully, man, they've made a full recovery basically. And like I said, I think the last day of their stay at home quarantine is tomorrow. And I've talked to them both. And again, they've joked about it is they're just so ready to get out of the house. Cause I mean, you can go kind of crazy in close quarters, but I mean, they've done everything, it's crazy, man. We're living in crazy times. And I would just say to people, just, continue to practice social distancing. I mean, it is a very real thing. Obviously, mortality rates are really low, but the scariest part is that you don't know how it's going to affect each individual. So, I mean, I was a little nervous definitely in the beginning because, both my parents are around the age of 50, both in fairly good health. They don't smoke or drink or anything like that. But, I mean, they're around that age marker, where I think it can go either way. So, it was just following up with them daily. And like I said, thankfully they made a full recovery, and, we can, I guess, kind of laugh about it, quote unquote, now, just kind of joke about it. But no, it's definitely a serious thing, man. And I mean, it just, practice social distancing, continue to do so. And, do what you can to keep you and yours safe. And I know you've talked about it a lot on social media. It's not necessarily about, yourself as an individual, but the other people that you could affect that, you never know how it might affect them. So that's the biggest thing I would
100%.
say.
I don't want people to assume that they would have the same relatively mild
exactly.
outcome that your parents did. Look, there's 3 outcomes with this, really. There is the asymptomatic outcome. There is the outcome that your parents had. And then, well, there's 4. Then there's a much more serious disease. And then the worst possible outcome that we don't even need to say.
Right.
But I think, Chris, if I had this, my worry, knowing how my brain works, is that, like, even if I wasn't having breathing problems, I would be waiting for the breathing problems to come.
Right.
So that almost I would will the breathing problems there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you mentally bring it upon yourself.
Breathe. I can't breathe. Well, you're hyperventilating, Mark.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
like, I mean, I would be worried that something like that would begin to happen.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Mark, it's crazy. Just a quick note. I actually had, at first I really didn't know anybody affected. Definitely before my parents, I didn't. But one guy, I actually went to college with this guy. I won't say his name. I think he actually made an appearance on CNN because he was one of the first guys. He's my age. He's 29 years old, played college football at Newberry College, and he's like a bodybuilder now. And he got it and had to be put in the hospital. Could not breathe. Said he could not walk about 10 yards down the hallway without being exhausted. And it's just crazy. Like, you'd never think a guy that, he's a legitimate bodybuilder. Like, you look at this guy, he's shredded, jacked, and it literally brought him, to a hospital bed. Like, he could not breathe without a ventilator. So, it's just crazy. Like, you never know how it's going to affect each individual. And like I said, I think that's the scary thing about it is just, I don't think there's a ton of consistency with it. So you just have to be extra careful with it. But hopefully it's one of those things where, we'll have a vaccine soon and, people continue to do their best to social distance and just try to be smart. You know what I mean? I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. If you want to go to the store, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, I haven't gone to the store or I haven't gone out to eat once or twice, but just do the best you can. You know what I mean? Do the best you can to think about those around you and just keep all of us healthy. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. Just keep everybody safe, everybody healthy. And it's like you talk about a lot, man. We all want to have a football season. I'd love to somehow see fans get in the stadium. So let's do our best to make that happen for sure, too.
Yeah, I think whether we have a football season or not will be dependent upon how we behave over the next few months,
right?
Both locally, regionally, and nationally. Chris, if you don't mind, man, we've got to run to a quick break, but I'd like to bring you right back in the next segment.
Yeah, absolutely.
South Carolina preview. A texter is already chiming in with this. Ask Chris Phillips if Clemson is cycling out. Hashtag spur down. Hashtag never again. Hashtag all in.
A lot of hashtags.
Chris Phillips and a South Carolina Gamecocks preview coming your way right here on Offsides, ESPN Upstate.
All right, so we're sticking through the commercial break. I'll turn this down a little bit and answer your questions in the meantime. So, yeah, I knew that we were going to talk about the COVID stuff. You guys didn't hear on the podcast. My parents actually both tested positive for it, but did recover. So they've basically made 100% full recovery. I think today is the last day of their 14-day quarantine. So we're all good. Thankfully, we're all good. Let's see. You know, it's funny, SEC football, too. Like, I want to be positive, too, every video, but I just try to look at the program from a realistic perspective. And no, I agree with you. I mean, if we start the season 2-2, Will Muschamp shouldn't have a job. I mean, week 5, that should be it. You know what I'm saying? That should be it. You cannot start worse than 3-1. You absolutely cannot. Most underrated player on the football team this season. Most underrated. I think Legette's not getting enough love, to be honest with you. I don't think Legette's getting enough attention. I think defensively, a guy like Aaron Sterling or Brad Johnson, I think they don't get talked about enough either. Yeah, start 4-0. You 100% should be making a bowl. No question. I think the goal has to shift from, if you go 4-0, you need to get to 7 wins. I mean, will it be good enough to finish the season 2-6? I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah, Mohamed Kaba, I think, will have an impact. I do think Mohamed Kaba will have an impact. I like that pick a lot. I mean, I like Des Kitchen. I think he's a good running backs coach. It's hard to say we upgraded because Thomas Brown was so good, but I mean, I think Des Kitchen's a really good running back coach. I think his job's going to be made a lot easier because I think Marshawn Lloyd's the real deal. I really do. I just give him the ball and get out of his way. I think Marshawn Lloyd's the real deal. Let's see. Lake Murray. Yeah. Man, I don't want to have to do another Fire Muschamp video. I really don't. I really don't, man. I don't want to have to do that again. I don't. So, oh my God. Yeah, I mean, dude. Somehow, bro, if we start 1-4, oh my God, I don't even want to think about that. I really don't. Oh, come on now. I mean, I'm not saying Marshawn Lloyd's Amir White for sure, but Marshawn Lloyd's going to be that dude. He's the gem of the recruiting class, in my opinion. He's going to be the feature guy. I'll tell you this, too. I'm not predicting us to start 4-0. If we start 4-0, Marshawn Lloyd is a household name. If we start 4-0, no question. He is a household name. And I'm not talking about just in Columbia. I'm talking about the SEC. He is balling out if we start 4-0.
And make a decision without any pressure. And Stitch Fix is on your terms and priced to match your budget. There's no subscription required ever. Keep what you want and send back anything you don't. So, isn't it time you got it all together? Get started today at StitchFix.com. Stitch Fix. Personal styling for men, women, and kids. Stitch Fix. Personal styling for everybody.
Why so serious?
Spilled your drink? Quick, the Quicker Picker-Upper. Bounty picks up spills and messes quicker. And each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading value brand. So you can get back to the party. Bounty, the Quicker Picker-Upper.
bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your car, home, motorcycle, commercial auto, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
That's some straight talk. Even though most live sports are on hold now, big wireless companies haven't stopped playing games. They're always trying to lock you into overpriced time.
Dude, yeah, Marshawn Lloyd's a beast, bro. Marshawn Lloyd is a beast. So I think he's gonna have a huge year. I think he's our starting running back day one, man. I really do. Maybe Kevin Harris gets to start game one just because he's the veteran guy, but Marshawn Lloyd's the dude, man. He came in to be the dude. That's why he came to South Carolina. So.
Throwing you off your game? Stick to a winning game plan with odor readers, featuring 3 advanced odor and wetness wipes. The lineup provides long-lasting odor control plus more to keep your feet on their game. Odor readers powder provides outstanding moisture control. Clear drying spray is the MVP in preventing athletes' foot, while insoles work continuously to manage wetness while adding a layer of comfort. Pick up today at Walmart, Target, CVS, Dollar General, or other fine retailers. Odor readers. Destroy foot odor with the best in odor defense.
I'm ready to talk some football, man. It's been too long. It's been too long since we really talked football. You know what I mean? So,
ESPN Upstate.
Offside, Marc Ryan and Lonzo right here on ESPN Upstate, rolling on a Friday Eve edition of the show. Chris Phillips of the Spurs Up Show joining us for our South Carolina Gamecocks preview. Chris Phillips, reasonable expectations for 2020.
I think the biggest thing is getting to a bowl, and I think reasonable expectations with this roster, Marc Ryan. I think it's reasonable to expect this team to make a bowl game. Minimum expectation should be 6 wins. I think the path to 7 wins is there for this team. When you take a look at the schedule, if you can take advantage early on, I mean, this team, Mark, could start 4-0. I know that sounds crazy to say. A team from last year that won only 4 games could start 4-0. That opportunity's there, but will they get it done with Will Muschamp at the helm? That is the big question. I think a lot of people, including myself, just don't have that faith and that trust that it will get done because, we had great expectations last year too. This is a team I picked to go 7-5. So, most of the picks I've seen have been floating right around the 5 or 6 win range, but reasonable expectations, I think with the talent, Mark, you have at South Carolina, at least this year's roster, there's no reason this team should not get to a bowl game, in my opinion, with the talent they have on the roster.
How concerned are you, Chris Phillips, at the recruiting ranking of 60th overall at this stage? I get it. A lot of the guys that were recruiting these kids have jumped ship. They feel like the ship is sinking. 5 assistant coaches out, protecting themselves, protecting their family. I need something more stable. But, at this particular juncture, we're usually about 60% of the way done through a recruiting class. Right. At this particular point, you have about 60% of the commitments you're going to get. And South Carolina has 7 total, right, and they're ranked 60th in America. Is this a sign of Will Muschamp not doing his job or a sign of all the defections that he's had to deal with?
Well, first thing I want to say, I am concerned. I mean, I definitely am concerned about it. I think it more so has to do, Mark, and, I talked about this a couple of months ago on the show, was I thought this was going to be a rough year for recruiting for South Carolina, and I'll tell you why. What the Gamecocks have been able to do over the past couple of seasons, because you think to yourself, how in the world can South Carolina compete against the likes of Clemson, Georgia? How can they get those in-state guys to stay home? Well, the thing for South Carolina is, and what's been Will Muschamp's biggest benefit, Clemson doesn't have to take the in-state guys. They're going all over the country now. They're going nationally. So South Carolina's been able to keep some of the best in-state talent home, which has obviously helped their recruiting. The in-state talent this year is just not as good as it has been in past seasons. You also think about what Mac Brown's doing, what UNC did last year, a team that you lost to. So I don't know that it's Will Muschamp isn't doing his job necessarily. I'm sure he's recruiting the same way he always has, but when you're coming off a 4-8 year, and I can only imagine how bad the negative recruiting is against Will Muschamp in South Carolina. I mean, listen, you don't think Dabo Swinney and Mac Brown and Kirby Smart and Dan Mullen aren't telling these kids, hey, do you want to come to our school where we have, we're building this program and we're on the rise of the program, or go to South Carolina where you're not even sure your head coach is going to be there next season? I mean, these kids aren't stupid. So, I think it's coming down to a lot of that, and I think the lack of talent in the state is definitely hurting South Carolina. But I told Gamecock fans a few months ago that, listen, I think that if South Carolina finishes top 40 in the country recruiting, I think that's going to be a pretty good class because I just think the in-state talent isn't there. And, Mark, it's really tough to go outside of the state and get elite blue chip kids to come to your school when you're coming off of a 4-8 year. I mean, South Carolina desperately needs to have a good season this fall, not just for Will Muschamp to keep his job and not just for the fan base to be happy, but to convince recruits that, hey, the program is on the up and up. The program is on the rise because, again, if you don't, the negative recruiting is just so bad. I think it's going to be, again, really tough for South Carolina, to crack even the top 40. But to answer your question, yeah, it's definitely concerning to me because with the way the season might go, I don't think there's going to be that recruiting class to bail out Will Muschamp this year and to justify that he's still doing a good enough job like you had kind of last year, if that makes sense.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to have a piece coming up on ESPNUpstate.com on why the state of South Carolina is underproducing blue chip recruits. South Carolina is the 6th largest state in the SEC out of 10 states. And the last 5 years, only one state has produced fewer 4- and 5-star players than the Palmetto State. Let's check out the state of this football program, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like Arkansas is in the toilet.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the only state in of the 10 in the SEC that has produced fewer 4- and 5-star players than South Carolina. I'd like to role play this with you here, Chris, for a second. Why don't you be an opposing head coach? I'm visiting a different school than South Carolina. But South Carolina's first on my list.
Right.
And I am the blue chip recruit. And you have just asked me, what do I like about South Carolina? I want to hear what you believe is being said about Will Muschamp here. So you've just asked me what do I like about South Carolina? Well, I'll tell you, Coach has us to his home. This new home that he has, man, you got to see this thing. It's unbelievable. We get to play in the SEC. I kind of feel like South Carolina is a sleeping giant. They really have everything they need, man. They have the facilities, they have the fan base, they have the conference, they have everything. And Coach Muschamp tells me, I can go to a lot of places and do things that have already been done before, or I can do it at South Carolina for the first time. And I don't know, Coach, that really speaks to me. That's why South Carolina leads the way for me right now.
Yeah, well, first thing I want to say, Mark, you did a pretty good job of selling USC because I would say the same thing. But no, if I had to role play it, I mean, what I think coaches are saying right now is, hey, man, I get that, but, you don't know if your head coach is going to be there next year. And I mean, listen, you read all the tabloids. I mean, kids are reading press clippings nowadays. So you see everything going on social media. And listen, I mean, do you want to come to a school we're building? We're on the up and up. We're on the rise. Listen, let's say you're an offensive kid, you're not going to get utilized in Will Muschamp's system like you're going to get utilized here. And if you're a defensive kid, they're solid defensive head coaches over there. But I think, in my opinion, I think they've underproduced. I think they've underdeveloped. Now, you can go to South Carolina and do that, or you can come here and win a championship. You can come here and compete for titles. You're going to compete for titles. And again, it's all depending on the school, obviously, we're talking about. But you can compete for titles. Hey, your position coach is going to be there next year. I'm going to be your head coach next year. I can guarantee you 4 years. I can guarantee you that stability. I'm going to be your head football coach. They can't say that in Columbia right now. Well, like the facilities, like the coaches, like whatever, like the fans, whatever it may be. You can't guarantee your head coach, and your next head coach may not want you. So why don't you just avoid the entire transfer process and come to our school and just be our guy? We want you. We need you. And, so again, I think that's what opposing coaches are most likely saying. I think that's the biggest knock right now is it's kind of like when Steve Spurrier made the 2 to 3 years remark. I know we all remember that. When he made that 2 to 3 year mark, and kids want certainty, and more so than the kids, the parents want certainty that, hey, my baby's going to be taken care of. My child's going to be taken care of for the next 3 to 4 years. And when your kid is hearing and your parents are hearing, the moms are hearing like, hey, like there's a good chance he's not there next year, period, point blank. There's a chance he's not there. His position coach ain't going to be there. They're going to clean house. That's unsettling. That's just unsettling for kids, and that's unsettling for their parents. I mean, I think that's probably what is being said. I think that's the biggest knock is that, hey, even outside of the overall trajectory of the program, Will Muschamp cannot sit in your living room and guarantee you he's going to be there in 4 years. He just can't do it. He just cannot do it right now. So I think that's the biggest knock.
We have about 60 seconds left here, Chris. I want 3 players to watch out for this year in 60 seconds.
Running back Marshawn Lloyd, no question. He'll be the feature back for South Carolina. I think the feature player offensively in Mike Bobo's offense. I think defensively, Zach Pickens, he's got to be the guy that fills in that role that Javon Kinlaw left. And I think, You're going to see a huge jump from him from his freshman to sophomore year. I think Zach Pickens will be an all-SEC player this year, former 5-star recruit. And then I think in the secondary, J.C. Horn. I think you could certainly argue between him and Israel Mukuamu, two of the best defensive backs in the SEC. But I think J.C. Horn is the leader in the secondary, and J.C. Horn's been a guy I've been super tough on because through 2 seasons does not have an interception to his name. I think that changes this year, and I think he'll want to be one of the best defensive backs in the SEC and potentially a first-round draft pick. So I think those 3 guys, the season's going to hinge a lot on how those 3 guys perform, in my opinion.
I will tell you what, folks, he's got a fantastic South Carolina Gamecocks podcast. It's the Spurs Up Show. Follow him on Twitter at the Spurs Up Show. And your personal Twitter is what, Chris?
CPhilly19, CPHILLY19. So it's a good time over there.
CPhilly19. Hey, Chris, continued prayers and well wishes to your family. I'm so happy to hear that they're on the mend and doing much better. And so good to catch up with you, man. We're going to have a college football season. Wheel it into existence.
Hey, I agree.
We're going to have it.
The show must go on, my friend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Be well, my friend.
Yes, sir. You as well. Thanks so much, Mark.
All right. Chris Phillips of the Spurs Up Show right here on ESPN Upstate. Coming up next on the show, they believe they...
All right. Well, that wasn't fun. That was not – well, it was fun. Let me restart. That was fun. Having to pitch against my own team was not fun. I know Mark did that on purpose. I know he did. Yeah, that was fun, though. Fun to talk football. You guys know Mark did that on purpose. You know he did. He wants to put me in that position. But, I mean, it's true. It's true. Listen, that's what's going on. You think Mac Brown didn't tell J.J. Jones, the receiver from Myrtle Beach, hey, you want to play in a Will Muschamp offense? You think your skills are going to get utilized there? Or you want to come play in our offense with Sam Howell? And, hey, I'm going to be here the next 5, 6, 7 years. Can't say that about Muschamp. That's exactly what's being said by these coaches. So I don't like it. I don't like what's being said. And, hell, everything Mark said about South Carolina being a great program, I'd agree with. Let's see what's we got a Clemson fan in here. No good player wants to play for the game. Sucks. They want to play for a school that wins. U.S. crap is not the school. Thank you for that insightful opinion. Really, thank you. All we got to do is get past Tennessee, Florida, Georgia. We can beat everyone else. Just got to step up and make plays. That's just me. I mean, here's the thing. This season, you have to win the ones you're supposed to win. That's the big thing first. You got to win the ones you are supposed to win. Then we can worry about beating the Floridas, beating the Georgias, pulling the upsets. But you need to win the ones you need to win the ones you're supposed to win, period. How's it feel only having football while your rival has championships in baseball? Talking about Clemson. Dude, yeah, I mean, I love that we have a fully functioning athletics department that we care about all sports, but I'm definitely ready to get turned around in football. No question. I'm definitely ready to get turned around in football. We'll take questions for like the next 5 minutes or so. If you guys have got anything, leave them. If you guys have got anything, leave them here real quick. We'll take questions here. So, God, I can't believe Mark put me in that position. That pisses me off. Man. I think I kind of led myself into it though. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing, and what I wish we'd have talked about a little bit more on the show. Will Muschamp does everything right when it comes to running a football program. He does everything right. Really, he really does. As far as like player discipline, and he's a likable guy. Like his players don't get in trouble. They go to class, they graduate. Everything off the field that he does, he says all the right things, but he lacks in the most important part, which is on the field and winning games. And that's what he gets paid to do. That's what he gets paid to do. So I don't dislike the guy personally, but like, you got to figure that part of it out. You have to. You absolutely have to. So, like I said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them. If not, I'm going to bounce out of here. Still haven't showered since the gym, so it's kind of gross. Yeah. So that was fun though. It's always fun to conversate with Mark. Mark's a good dude. The tater is gone, he says. Oh, man. Is golf on today, by the way? Oh, that's random. I think golf might be on today. All right, no more questions. Okay. All right, we're going to end it. Appreciate you guys tuning in. That was a lot of fun. Might go live on IG in a little bit, to be honest with you. Why not? You know what I mean? So if you haven't tuned in, if you haven't listened to the show, today's podcast, 258, breaking down the Clemson matchup, but also CC Whitlock interview. Awesome stuff. Talk to the Paul. Just go get your own chat, bro. Go get your own chat. Why? Why are you here? Nobody likes you. Nobody likes you. All right. You guys take care. We'll talk soon. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.